So the anime room is taking a break from Jujutsu Kaisen, and now we're talking about Ayanokoji. So Ayanokoji isn't human; he's a perfectly programmed mind, and essentially, yeah, he's technically human, but he just doesn't even use emotion. We all know that. But hey, man, glazing Ayanokoji is the reason this heartbeat exists, bro. It's the reason this heart exists. All right. And low key, man, Classroom of the Elite season 4, it's actually out right now. It's pretty good, honestly. Like I know the animation isn't always the best, and I know even in general like Classroom of the Elite, I feel like season 4 is peak, but I know like the show overall isn't necessarily peak, but like it's still pretty good, like at least a 7 out of 10, man, honestly.
Today, we're taking a little step away from Jujutsu Kaisen character psychology and looking at someone completely different. Ayano Koji from
I honestly never would have expected this, man. But hey, Classroom of the Elite season 4 is out. Oh yeah, it's actually crazy. Apparently even freaking Rent a Girlfriend has like a season 5 now and it's out now. Bro, I'm somewhat happy that nobody's talking about it because like it is super cringy and it's like it's so many chapters. Like it's what the manga is probably 300 chapters and it's just like they're never gonna end up together at this point, bro. And Kazuya as a main character is just cooked, man. It's really insane when animes like Rent a Girlfriend have 5 seasons, but there's like other peak animes that only have like 1 or 2 seasons. How sad.
Classroom of the Elite because his psychology is on a complete different level. Let me
Can we get like a Tokyo Ghoul remake or a Berserk remake or something?
ask you something real quick. What would a human look like if you removed all the emotions completely, like fear, empathy, and hesitation? Just put pure logic
Just a robot.
in him. Because that is not a robot, that's Ayano Koji. And here's the
Mhm.
part that nobody really talks about. He's not hiding his emotions. He might actually be experiencing something closer to emotional blunting, which in psychology is
Let me see. Actually,
when
let me
your
let him explain
feelings
it.
are reduced to almost nothing. And once you understand
Oh, so basically just emotional suppression. Okay, makes sense. So Ayanokoji like just he feels very little emotion. Okay.
that, everything about him becomes like more disturbing because he's not playing the same game as everyone else. He's operating on a complete different system. So in this
Yep.
video, we're going to be breaking down the Ayanokoji psychology and trying to answer one question. Is he still human or is he just perfectly programmed weapon? Let's get into it. Everything about Ayanokoji starts with the White Room, but this is
I
not
mean, he's literally technically human. Like if like if somebody just pulled out a gun on him, like Ayanokoji, I don't even think he would be able to like dodge a bullet or anything. I don't think he scales that high in terms of speed.
just a training, it's a psychological conditioning at the highest level. There's this idea in psychology called the tabula rasa. It means a blank slate. The idea that we're born without a built in personality and everything we
Oh, that's actually a good idea. Yeah, that might be true. It's not really a bad idea. Yeah, everybody's technically a baby born with a blank slate, and then your environment dictates how you end up.
become is shaped by experience. But Ayano Koji wasn't just a blank
I mean, yeah, that's pretty solid. I mean, everybody is kind of shaped by their own experiences. I mean, some people just have more willpower than others at the same time. I don't know.
slate. He was subject to something closer to behavioral conditioning, basically a system where only correct actions are rewarded and anything
Okay.
else gets punished or erased until the person starts acting exactly how the system wants. And over
Yeah.
time, that creates something dangerous. Conditioned dissociation, where your brain learns to separate thinking from feeling. You can function without being affected emotionally. Look at the flashbacks, the empty rooms, identical
Okay.
children, no individuality, and then that moment a child collapses. A normal response would
Yeah, Ayanokoji just didn't care. He was just like, bro was just neutral. He was like, he had no expression.
be a panic, right? Ayano Koji, nothing, no reaction, no emotion, just
Ayanokoji's a
observation. That's
demon,
not
man.
discipline. That's what happens when identity formation is disrupted, which is when someone never properly develops a sense of self because they were never given a normal emotional or social experience growing up. In a normal development, a child builds a self through relationship and emotional feedback. In the White Room,
Yeah.
the self is treated as a flaw. So instead of personality, you get optimization. Ayanokochi didn't just lose emotion, he lost the need for it. And when you remove emotion, you're also removing hesitation, fear, and doubt, which sounds powerful until you realize what it costs. Now let's get into his most famous line. people are tools. This isn't just him being cold, even though it's the coldest line to say, but this lines up
Mm.
almost perfectly with Machiavellianism, which is a personality trait where someone focuses on manipulation, long term strategy, and using others to reach their goals, usually without
Yeah.
emotional
Machiavellianism is part of like the dark triad, pretty sure.
attachment. But here's what makes Ayanokoji different. Most Machiavellian people still feel emotion, they just ignore them. Ayanokoji might not have enough emotion input to ignore it in the first place. Look at the rooftop with Ruin. Ruin is driven by fear and dominance. Ayanokoji is calm, still. There's a moment where he's getting hit, and instead of reacting, he's analyzing damage. That's a full reliance on cognitive processing over emotional response, meaning he's
Mm.
thinking through
That is kind of crazy. Interesting.
everything logically instead of reacting instinctively. And this is where empathy comes in. Psychology splits empathy into two types: cognitive empathy, understanding what someone else is feeling, like reading their thoughts, and affective empathy, actually sharing their feelings with them. Ayanokoji is extremely high in
He probably only has cognitive empathy. He can't actually, so he can't, he literally just doesn't necessarily like have emotions essentially.
cognitive empathy. He can predict behavior, reaction, even breaking point almost perfectly, but affective empathy almost non existent. And that explains his relationship with Kay. Because from the outside it looks real, but internally it's functional. This is called the instrumental attachment, where you maintain relationship because they're useful, not because you're emotionally connected. He protects her, but not because he feels for her, it's because she serves a role in his system, and that's what makes him dangerous. Because he
Yeah.
doesn't just use people, he optimizes them, and most of the time, they don't even realize it. Now, here's where Ayanokoji becomes something else entirely. He wants to lose, and that seems completely irrational until you understand the psychology behind it. This connects to something called existential ennui, which is a deep, almost empty kind of boredom that comes from feeling like nothing in life has meaning.
So he's a little bit like Saitama from One Punch Man. He's kind of bored. He wants a challenge in a way. He wants something to like, maybe wants to feel emotion again. I don't know.
Or surprises anymore. Because if you can predict everything and nothing
Bro, it still feels so crazy to compare Saitama and Ayanokoji. Like, I never would have thought.
feels engaging, then this becomes the paradox of certainty. When you're so sure of outcomes that life stops feeling like a challenge, and without challenge, your brain stops feeling stimulated, you can
Yeah.
actually see this in the chess match with Sakai Naji. For a brief moment, he looks interested and focused because there's uncertainty. And uncertainty
Mm.
is something his brain is not used to, so what does he do? He starts creating stronger opponents. This is similar to self imposed adversity, where people intentionally create
Why doesn't Ayanokoji just go battle Koenji or something, right? Isn't Koenji the second strongest in the verse? I'm pretty sure, like... Okay, spoiler alert. But I'm pretty sure Koenji still ranks even higher than Yagami, right? Even though Yagami was like the, what, 5th gen or 4th gen strongest White Room student or whatever, Ayanokoji low-key like low-diffed Yagami, so... I just feel like Koenji would be harder to take down. It would probably be like maybe a high diff for Ayanokoji. I don't know.
challenges for themselves.
In terms of feats, yeah, Yagami. In terms of feats, Yagami takes it, right? And just, I guess overall, like statements as well, like statements made about Yagami technically would put him over Koenji. But in terms of like the narrative and just the way plot and the overall story is going to go, Koenji will probably just end up being a tougher challenge or overall smarter than Yagami.
Just to feel something again, to break out of a mental stagnation. But Iono Koji's case, it goes deeper. He's testing reality itself, trying to find something, anything, that his system can predict. So far, nothing has succeeded. And that's the real issue. Not that he can't lose, but that nothing can even push him to that point, which turns life into something empty, not painful, just meaningless. So now everything connects. The White Room removed unpredictability and created stability, consistency, and control. But human connection, real connection, is unpredictable by nature. It doesn't follow
Okay.
logic, and that's where Ayanokoji's system starts to break down. Because things like love and trust and emotional attachment doesn't fit into calculation. They introduce something called the emergent behavior, which means outcomes that cannot be fully predicted even if you understand all of the individual parts.
Yeah, like even if you freaking like you guys know clavicular and this like looks maxing BS. Even if you tried to just like what relationship max or something like that. And it doesn't even have to be romantic relationships. It could just be general relationships. Like you can't control somebody outside of you necessarily. Like you can't really control somebody else. So it's just like it's always gonna be unpredictable, truthfully. Yeah.
parts, and that's something Ayanokoji isn't built to handle, which is why characters like Kei
Like for example, Ayanokoji, he probably knows everything about dating and whatever, but Ayanokoji can't make somebody as smart as Sakayanagi, for example, fall in love with him. Like he can't logic his way into making Sakayanagi fall in love with him. Even let me think. It's just like, yeah, Ayanokoji just wouldn't really be able to do that. I don't even I did read the light novels a while ago. I think Sakayanagi might have like a small crush on Ayanokoji. I'm not really sure. But like just in general, for the sake of the argument, Ayanokoji can't like logic his way into just making Sakayanagi fall in love with him. Like that's just it's not really possible.
matter, not just for emotionally, but
He also probably he probably couldn't even do it with Horikta, right? I don't think Ayanokoji could logic his way into making Horikta fall in love with him.
psychologically. She represents a variable his system can't fully solve, and if that variable ever becomes dominant, if he genuinely feels something, that wouldn't just change him, it would destabilize everything he is. So now we come back to the question, is Ayanokoji human, or is he just a system? Because right now he exists somewhere in between. He has a constructed idea.
Technically, yeah, like biologically he is human, but like in terms of like just his actual like for the sake of the argument, yeah, he's more so a system, truthfully. I mean, he has like no emotions, which is kind of the main point of being human, I guess, right? Um I mean, without emotion, like if we're assuming humans just consist of emotion and logic, then if you remove emotion, then humans are just kind of robots, essentially. Yeah.
Identity, and he has a functioning mind but no clear emotional core, and that creates something rare, a person shaped almost entirely by deterministic conditioning, which means his behavior isn't really based on free choice but on how he was designed and trained to respond. The only thing that can break that is something outside of logic.
How would he even break that though? Like logically. Like yeah, it is kind of determinism, right? I mean, everybody kind of takes some influences from their environment. But like what would Ayanokoji have to do? Would he just have to purely rebel? Should he try and like get his emotions back and try to actually have a real relationship with Karizawa K? And should he try and like actually just make friends with people and stop like doing this whole logic processing BS? Yeah, it's kind of crazy, bro. Even like Light Yagami and freaking just other smart characters um who even Koenji, right? Even Koenji has like has emotion, I'm pretty sure. Now, I think some people argue he might be like a psychopath, but like I wouldn't go that far. He just seems a bit narcissistic. But even Koenji seems to just be like emotionally free. Um yeah, I would rather live Koenji's life than live Ayanokoji's life because ultimately, man, life just isn't about like outsmarting people. Like for the most part, it's just not really about that. Seems like Koenji is happier than Ayanokoji, so yeah.
Logic, emotion, predictability, and loss. If Ayanokoji ever truly experiences those, it wouldn't just be a character development, it would be a system failure, and maybe that's the only way he becomes.
But yeah, Ayanokoji stands out truly because he has no emotion. You can look at, I'll list a bunch of smart characters from other animes, even this anime, and they seem to have emotion. Yagami, Takuya Yagami from Classroom of the Elite. Even if he's faking having a crush on Kushida or he's faking, being this perfect, like, nice guy, it just still seems like he has emotions or can at least, like, express and portray them, which Ayanokoji clearly can't. Again, there's also Koenji, there's Sakayanagi Reese, there's even Ryuen. Ryuen is smart and he still displays emotions. There's freaking Katagiri Yuichi from Tomodachi Game. Um I hope Tomodachi Game gets like a season 2 or season 3, but You guys probably won't know this unless you read the manga, but Katagiri Yuichi is like a manipulator who's compared with Ayanokoji, Johan, and Light Yagami. And there are also examples too. Johan has emotions. Johan Learbert or whatever. Freaking Light Yagami. Even L with his like depressed self, his dark circles around his eyes. Like even L had fun chasing Kira, chasing Light Yagami.
Human again. So let me know what you think. Can Ayanokoji change, or is he permanently stuck at the perfect product of the White Room?
Truthfully, man, let's see. Ayanokoji's like what? Is he like 17 years old or something? Your youngest years are the most crucial for socialization and all that. Um, let's think. So, considering how smart Ayanokoji is, he can likely solve any goal. If he truly, he probably knows every single strategy to get in touch with your emotions and develop real relationships. Um, the issue is, it's like if he genuinely just doesn't have emotions. So the narrator of like the overall video, right? He was saying that Ayanokoji has like cognitive empathy. He was saying that Ayanokoji like he seems to have very little emotion. If he only feels emotion like to a very small degree, then that means he still has emotion. So it would be possible to probably build it back up. But if Ayanokoji literally just doesn't feel emotions at all, he might be cooked. I mean, he wasn't born without emotions, I'm assuming, so I'm not sure. Here, let's just go with this. I'll end it with this. Ayanokoji was not born the way he is. He was socialized and trained into it. All you need to do is undo that training and undo that socialization and train in the direction of love, emotion, and empathy. So ultimately, I will say that Ayanokoji can undo it. Um, yeah. The only way he can't is if he genuinely just literally doesn't feel emotions. That would be some type of physical or biological problem, though. I don't know. Let me know what you think.